Good evening. Good Shabbos. It is so wonderful to be back together this evening for our Shabbat service. I am going to start out this week with the special message, the special blessings this week, because I just want to. Last Sunday, this past Sunday, I should say, I had the wonderful privilege of seeing my wife off out of town for a few nights to give me some time with my children alone. And then the blessing is that she's back. While I enjoy being with my children all the time, it is much better when there's two of us rather than just one. So anyone who has ever been a single parent in your parent time, I applaud you. I appreciate you. They're not that easy. Can we get the door closed, please? Thank you, Herb. Okay, so who would like to share with us news, birthdays, anniversaries, children's things, grandchildren's things between last Shabbat and this Shabbat? Nobody has anything good to celebrate? Thank you, Michael.
Jose and I went fishing on Thursday.
Who did? Oh, Jose. You and Jose, okay.
So we went down, took about an hour and a half to get there. We were fishing, and there are other people that are fishing also, catching big fish. And Jose happened to catch two about this size. I didn't catch any, but we had a good time laughing. And the best part about it is when we started singing. What did we sing, Jose? Maybe that's why you didn't get the fish.
At least you didn't sing Adon Olam. You'd still be singing it then. Anybody else? I know there's birthdays and anniversaries this week, so I don't want to call on you people, but I know who it is. So, yes, Stephen.
My wife and I are celebrating our 38th anniversary.
Mazel tov, 38 years, fantastic. That's wonderful. You can clap now until the service begins, but then after the service begins, we don't clap. Yes, Bacha.
So Carla's not in the show, but tonight's opening night of Pirates of Penzance at FAU, and she's en route. So she's doing lighting or tag or something.
Behind the scenes stuff. Nothing else? Okay, please. You can say whatever you'd like.
Anyway, thank you for all of those that have already brought things for the collection for the kids at
Wyomina.
school, for Emily's kids and the whole school. Apparently that school has almost 100% SNAP families. So the kids were coming in just hungry.
Well, not only that, but Emily was saying at the board meeting on Tuesday night that a lot of her kids were going home to nothing.
So anyway, thank you for everything. She will be picking it all up on Sunday and taking it on in so we can have everything else we want to do on Sunday morning.
Sure. Well, just to add to that, we're going to leave the box we'll leave the boxes in the sanctuary for a little. I mean, in the social hall in the front lobby area for a few weeks. But also, I have not gotten permission yet, but I'll announce it, give Mr. Williams a little bit of pressure here. Our Thanksgiving Interfaith service is next Thursday, as you may or may not remember. It's at 6 p.m. And every year we pass around a collection plate. It's the only time that I'm ever in a service where a collection plate is passed around, but it's in the church. And we pass on a collection plate at the end of the service, and every year until this year, the money that's collected has gone to the Interfaith Emergency Services. I have sent an email out to Mr. Williams to send out to our OTLS board that half of the money could go to an organization called The Rock here in town, which does the same kind of thing for middle school and high school students because they are really in need right now. So if you just search online for The Rock Ocala or The Rock Marion County, you can learn all about the organization, but it's a really good one. And there will be a link on our website, hopefully next week, about this as well. You want to say something more?
I just want to say something more. You may have seen in the news that the SNAP funds have been started to be distributed, but Florida has
Sarah?
I would just like to add that the backpack program and this sort of thing, this is an ongoing need here in Marion County. We have a lot of children that go home and whatever they eat at school is all they have actually to depend on. We have 1,500 homeless students, I think, last time, I'm not sure. But that anytime you have a little extra, if you will check with our local agencies, they will tell you the best way. But it's year-round, it's ongoing, and as much as we all try to recognize during holiday season and stuff like that, that it's an ongoing, and the schools are the best way to get provisions to the kids. They take home backpacks
And
on Friday.
just to add to this, just so you know, Emily is not the only one, but there are plenty of teachers, including Rebecca over here, who are paying out of their own pockets to replenish the food pantries in their schools. So, like if you wanted to contact either Emily or Rebecca or Andrea Gray, and I'm sure there's other teachers as well, you can. They all have Amazon lists that they need to fill. You can purchase things for their schools. Dire need right now. Not because of Thanksgiving coming up or because of the holidays. It's just because of life. Anybody else have good things to share? Yes, Herb, please.
Today was the first time since Halloween that I got to trim my beard.
I thought you were going to say it was the first time since Halloween that you got to wear men's clothing. Okay, with that wonderful set of vision in our eyes now, in our brains now, I'm going to invite Deborah Johnson up to light our Shabbat candles on page 2. Oh.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Thank you. I invite you to rise as we continue with the chanting of our prayer over the wine, over the grape juice in this case, Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta Ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim. V'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai Mikadesh HaShabbat. L'chaim. Ooh, extra sweet. It's yummy. Please be seated. I told you it was sweet. We continue, on page 8. Please read with me. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. We continue singing Eile Chamda Libi on page 11.
Eila hamda libi, usaneva ana titale. 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 Eila hamda libi, usaneva ana titale.
We continue on page 15. Adonai is sovereign, let the earth exult, the many islands rejoice. Dense clouds are around God, righteousness and justice are the base of God's throne. Congregation, let me introduce you to indented writing. Thank you for laughing, the 2 or 3 people that did. We continue with the singing of Lecha Dodi on page 20 and on the screen.
Hashem echad, u'shemo echad, l'shem u'l'siferes v'lisila, l'cha dodi, l'kras kala, b'nei Shabbos nekah. Beloved. Shabbos Nika Boi Shalom Gam Toch emune am segula boi chala lecha
We continue as you are continuing to stand on page 26 with Chatzi Kaddish. Yitkadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabbah Bi'alma divrach rute v'yamlich malchute B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala, ba'agala, uvizman kariv, ve'imeru, amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach, le'olam u'l'almei almaya, yitbarach, yitbarach, ve'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei dekudesha brechu, le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma, V'meru, amen. We continue with Baruch Hu, page 28.
La 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 la
Please be seated. We continue with Ma'ariv Arvim on page 30. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach sha'arim, uvidvuna mishanei itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi laila. Umavdil bein yom uvein laila. Adonai tzivaot shemo. El chai v'kayam. Tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. We continue with the singing of Ahavat Olam, page 32.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amecha ahaveta, Amcha ahaveta, Torah u'mitzvot, Hukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta, Otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbenu, uv'kumeinu nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki heim chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem negeh yomam v'layla, negeh yomam v'layla, ve'ahavat ha'al tasir, bimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael, ohev amo Yisrael.
Please rise for the most important words a Jewish person can ever say, the Shema, page 34.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated. We continue with the chanting of Ve'ahavta, page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uvshochbecha uvekumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu totafot bein einecha uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet. We read responsively on page 39. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Michamocha, page 40.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora tehilot. Ose vele, ose vele. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora tehilot. Ose vele, ose vele. Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh.
Page 43. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Page 44, Vishamru.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריתו. Please rise. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריתו.
בני ישראל, עוד היא לעולם, עוד היא לעולם.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריתו. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריתו.
כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני
את השמיים
ואת הארץ.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריתו. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם
was extremely cool to see the kids in the video. This is not a good example of Jews having rhythm. We continue on page 46. Please rise for the Amidah. Adonai, Sefaitai Tiftach, Ufi Agit Tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'Neihem, L'Ma'an Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah Rav lehoshia. Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, Mechalkel chaim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim. So mech noflim verofei cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato, lishenei afar, michamocha ba'al gevurot, umido melach, Melech memit u'mechaye u'matzmiach Yeshua v'ne'eman atah lahachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai mechaye hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated. Page 55. Disturb us, Adonai, ruffle us from our complacency, make us dissatisfied. Dissatisfied with the peace of ignorance, the quietude which arises from a shunning of the horror, the defeat, the bitterness and the poverty, physical and spiritual, of humans. Shock us, Adonai. Deny to us the false Shabbat, which gives us the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred. Wake us, O God, and shake us from the sweet and sad poignancies rendered by half-forgotten melodies and rubric prayers of yesteryears. Make us know that the border of the sanctuary is not the border of living, and the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality. Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred to action. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. We continue with the singing of Ritzei on page 56, which will be followed by Shalom Rav on page 60.
Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu Be'amcha Yisrael U'tefilatam be'ahava Tekabel U'tehi le'ratzon
Page 60.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Ki atahu melech adon lecho hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam. Baruch atah Adonai, hamavarech et amo Yisrael, b'shalom.
Page 62. Osei shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru, amen. May the one who makes peace in the high heavens make peace for us, for all Israel, and all who inhabit the earth. And we say together, amen. We continue with the singing of Elohai Nitzor, page 60, same page, top of the page. And then that will be followed by a moment of meditation.
Elohai Nitzor leshoni meira usfatai midaber merma vilim kalalai nafshi tidram vinafshi ke'afar lakol tiyeh Elohai 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 Nitzor leshoni meira usfatai midaber merma vilim kalalai nafshi tidam v'nafshi ke'afar lakol tiyeh Elohai Elohai B'tach b'tach libi B'tach b'tach libi B'tach libi B'toratecha Elohai Nitzor leshoni meira usfatai midaber merma vilim kalalai nafshi tidam v'nafshi ונפשי כעפר לכל תהיה אלוהי, אלוהי, אלוהי נצור לשוני מרע ושפתי מדבר מרמה ולמקל עלי נפשי תדום ונפשי כעפר לכל תהיה אלוהי, אלוהי.
We take a few moments now in our prayer service to think of those who are in need of healing, whether it be mind, body, or spirit. Of course, we have the list that we have every Friday night. If there is a name that you would like to add to our blessings of healing this Shabbat, please raise your hand. I'm sorry, say again. Selig. Mishaberach.
Mishaberach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuge
Vayihiyu chaye Sarah me'ah shana ve'esrim shana ve'sheva shanim shnei chaya Sarah v'tamot Sarah bekiryat arba hu Chevron be'eretz Canaan ve'yavo Avraham lispod l'Sarah ulivkota. Sarah's lifetime, the span of Sarah's life came to 127 years. Sarah died in Kiryat Arba, now Chevron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham proceeded to mourn her and for Sarah and to bewail her. These words come from this week's Parsha, Parshat Chaye Sarah. These verses, Genesis 23, 1 and 2, were written as early as 1950 BCE. That would be around 4,000 years ago. So why is this significant? What we find in this week's Parsha is a purchase of land in what is today the land of Israel by the father of the three Abrahamic faiths. To put it more specifically, we find land being purchased by the father of the Jewish people, although we were not called Jews until later. At the telling of this story, we were the children of Abraham. So what does this mean? Well, the Jews have been landowners in the land of Israel, at the time the land of Canaan, for 4,000 years. Abraham, living as a resident alien among the Hittites, knew the importance of purchasing this land for future generations. So he did just that. Even though this land had already been promised to Abraham and his descendants by God. Pretty smart guy, right? So why am I dwelling on this land ownership business? It seems, I should change this next sentence from, it seems that once again, change it to, it seems as it always has been, that the Jewish people in Israel and worldwide are having to defend their rights, not just as Jews, but also to the land of our forefathers and mothers. We are being referred to as colonizers, illegitimate land grabbers, etc. There is so much misinformation and misguided information out there. I wanted to take some time again tonight, just like I did last week, and set the record straight. Of course, we begin with the stories of our ancestors who inhabited and purchased lands in Israel. When I say that no other people in the history of the world has a longer tie to the land of Israel than we Jews do, I do not mean at all to discredit the ties that Palestinians and other Muslims have to their land and or other people and their ties to their lands. However, for Jews, some, and I would say too many Jews out there sometimes are almost completely discrediting the Jewish tie to the land of Israel. It's not just the non-Jews, it's Jewish people too. So what do we do if we hear the words, what do I say if I hear ... from the river to the sea? This means, without any limitations, the elimination of the state of Israel from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea. Currently, there are over 9 million Israelis living in this land. Jews, Arabs, Muslims, Christians, Druze, among others. Where would these Israelis go? Before I answer that, keep this in mind. The majorities of Jews and Israelis seek a negotiated two-state solution, ultimately leading to a sovereign Palestinian state alongside the sovereign state of Israel. These two nations should and would need to live as peaceful neighbors with no exception or anything less. But here's the primary issue. Hamas, the elected leaders of the Gaza Strip, are not interested in a two-state solution. As a matter of fact, the original 1988 version, which has not been updated, of the Hamas Charter emphasized four main views. One, destroying Israel and establishing an Islamic theocracy in Palestinian is essential. Two, unrestrained jihad is necessary to achieve this, jihad being holy war. Three, negotiated resolutions of Jewish and Palestinian claims to the land are unacceptable. And four, historical anti-Semitic tropes that reinforce the goals. There is also the proclamation that Israel will exist until, this is important to hear, Islam obliterates it. Hamas seeks to eliminate Jews not just from the Middle East, but from the world. The presence of Jews in Israel sullies the land, and nothing but complete elimination of the Jews, according to the Hamas charter, will cleanse it. What if I hear Israel is committing genocide? The definition of genocide completely negates this claim, and words have meaning. As a matter of fact, the Palestinian population has dramatically increased since the turn of the 21st century. In 2000, the population in the Gaza Strip was over 1.1 million inhabitants. In 2023, the population in the Gaza Strip was over 2 million inhabitants. So in 2 years, it almost doubled. In 23 years, it almost doubled. The definition of genocide is the deliberate killing of a large number of people from a particular nation or ethnic group with the aim of destroying that nation or group. If genocide was or is the goal of Israel, then this may be the only thing that Israel has not been successful of since its founding. On the other hand, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, the elimination of Jews is the explicit goal of Hamas. As Jews, we have learned throughout history that when someone or some group calls for our destruction, we take this seriously. There is one major difference today, though, from the other attempts at killing Jews in the past. Israel. As long as we have the capacity to protect ourselves, a place to go when we are threatened, we will do whatever we need to do to protect ourselves. This is the primary reason why the nation of Israel's existence is so vital. We may not always agree as Jews, or we may never agree as Jews, but when it comes down to it, we will defend each other no matter what. But what if I hear Israel targets civilians? This is one of the most awful pieces of misinformation out there. The IDF is held to a higher standard than any other army in the history of the world. Judaism values life, each life, and has done the following to prevent the killing of innocent women and children. Dropped thousands of leaflets in Arabic instructing residents of the Gaza Strip to leave the area with the exact date and time of any counterattack from the IDF. Made thousands of phone calls to the homes of Gaza residents with the same instruction, creating at least 2 safe zones for Gazans to go to be out of harm's way. Here is what Hamas has done in return. Prevented the residents of Gaza from leaving, sometimes killing them if they try. Built bunkers and military installations under residential areas, schools, and hospitals. Destroyed viable escape routes for the Gaza residents who want to leave. All of these acts are war crimes against their own people. The definition of human shields. In war, people die, and it is unfortunate and tragic. But Israel does what it can, which is way more than any other army in the history of the world has done, to prevent unnecessary death and collateral damage. As my daughter in college would say, Period. Period. War crimes. Let's talk about that for a minute. Who holds Hamas responsible for the war crimes they are committing and have committed? The answer? No one. There is no such mechanism. Not one time has the United Nations come together and said Hamas is committing war crimes. But how many times have they said Israel is? Yeah. If residents of Gaza speak out against Hamas, not only they are killed, but their family members are killed or tortured. If Israel commits war crimes, there is a judiciary and democratic-based government that will hold soldiers or anyone committing these war crimes accountable. If you saw Golda in the theater, you saw that this was clear. She was brought up for war crimes. And she didn't do it. We are thrilled that there is a ceasefire now. And there now only remains 3 deceased hostages that we are still waiting for their bodies to be returned. Because another one was returned yesterday. However, as long as Hamas exists, they have a stockpile of weapons at their disposal and thousands of missiles aimed directly at Israel. If Hamas laid down their weapons today, the fighting would stop and there would be peace. Israel did not break the last ceasefire. Hamas did on October 7th, 2023. But what if I hear Israel is engaging in settler colonialism? This one is easy, but so many people just want to ignore the historical and archaeological proof. You cannot colonize a land that you are indigenous to. If you don't think that the Israelis are indigenous to Israel, you don't know your history. As I said at the beginning of this sermon, 4,000 years ago, Abraham bought land from a people that no longer exist. Therefore, Abraham is the oldest living person to have lived in that land, meaning he is indigenous. Jews, now thanks to expulsion after expulsion after expulsion, come from all parts of the globe. But Israel is still our homeland. Again, period. To quote my friend and colleague, if you hear that anti-Zionism is not the same as anti-Semitism, you should know that somewhere around 90% of Jews worldwide are Zionists. Even Jews who are rightfully, like me, critical of Israel and her policies still believe that Israel has a right to exist. Large number of Jews recognize Israel as a necessity. Anti-Zionism states that the only people who don't deserve a homeland with self-determination are Jews. Anti-Zionism states that only Jews among all the people in the world don't deserve this. Anti-Zionism seeks to erase the complexities of Jewish identity and seeks to define Jews rather than letting Jews define themselves. The 10% of Jews in the world who are anti-Zionists do not speak for the Jewish people any more than the most extreme Christians speak for Christianity, or for that matter, that Hamas terrorists speak on behalf of Islam. To promote these Jews as emblematic of the Jewish community is to tokenize them. Today, there are many of us who live our lives not only in fear of what is right in our faces, but also with the unknown feelings we may have about what's next. When I was a young man, a young boy, I was taught one of the most quoted Jewish sayings, Gam ze ya'avor, this too shall pass. And trust me, there have been times in my life when I thought that. My hope, my prayer for this evening is that we look to each other in our Jewish family for comfort, strength, and peace. May God bless us all this Shabbat, and Gam Zeh Ya'avor. Amen. We now turn to page 282, and I invite you to rise for Aleinu. Come on, Isis. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asani kegoye haratzot, velo samanu kimishpechot hadama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegora leinu kechol hamonam, Vanachnu koreim umishachavim umodim lifnei melech malachei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz Bayom hahu, Yihye Adonai echad, Ushemo echad. Please be seated. As I mentioned, we're down to 3. And as the weeks go along, hopefully we'll get down to 0. But it certainly looks a lot better today than it did a month ago. And we still pray for the remains of Dror ben Yuval, Sudisak ben Tongma, and Ron ben Yitzchak to be returned so they can be buried and their families can have an ending. We also pray for the hostages that were killed and their families. This Shabbat, our congregation commemorates the death anniversaries, the yahrzeits of Frances Swit, sister of Joe Swit, Abraham Dittman, Herman Falk, Laura Cohen, sister of Hillary Zalesnik, and Charlotte Mesnick. If there's a name that you'd like to add to our prayers this Shabbat, please, of memory, please raise your hand. We join together on page 294, and I invite you to please rise for the mourner's Kaddish. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Bi'alma Divra Chirutei v'yamlich Malchutei, B'chayechon v'yomechon, U'v'chayei Dichol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala u'vizman kari v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mivorach Leolam Ulamei Almaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal Shmei Dekudesha Brechu. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabbah min Shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru, Amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'asei shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru, Amen. Zichronam livracha, may all their memories be for a blessing, and we say together, Amen. Please be seated. And now, I invite our President Rachel to give us some announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, y'all. Well, I did move here from Georgia. Next week, our family Shabbat is at 5:45 on the 21st, and Kabbalat Shabbat and our classic Reform service is at 7 p.m. The 28th Kabbalat Shabbat is at 7 p.m. and will be led by Herb Katz. Upcoming events, we already had Sisterhood National Nibbles, I'm sorry. Old Toll's Thanksgiving Interfaith Service is Thursday, November 20th at 6 p.m. Old Toll's Thanksgiving Interfaith Luncheon is Sunday, November 23rd at 11:45. A note from Tommy, handed to me on my way up to the Bema. If you have signed up for the luncheon and are unable to make it, please let Tommy know. Challah baking class backed by popular demand, $40 per person. It is a 3-hour class. A 3-hour tour, yeah. The dates are December 4th, December 14th, January 9th, and January 18th. If you are interested in taking the class, please see me. An urgent request, this was already mentioned, but I will mention it again. Wyoma Park Elementary is facing a possibility of sending families home to houses that don't have food and other essentials. Please consider donating any of the listed food that is on the box or in my email today, as the care closet in Wyomina Park Elementary is currently lacking what it needs to make sure that their families are supported during this difficult time. Please reach out to Emily if you have any questions, and she appreciates all the help that you can give the students. Herb is currently looking for used computers for Old Tolls. If anyone has an old computer laying around that wants to donate it, please see Herb Katz. This week's ONEG is sponsored by Debbie and Stephen Johnson in honor of their granddaughter, Josie. And this week's Bema Flowers are sponsored by Elka Maliver in honor of her birthday, and Eli Rockland in honor of Katie's birthday. Shabbat Shalom, y'all.
Just a couple of quick additions. There has been a little bit of confusion about my trip to Israel in January, so I just want to clarify that trip. This is a trip that's being led by the Central Conference of American Rabbis for rabbis. We are going to visit a lot of the spots that were affected by October 7th, 2023, including the site of the Nova Festival, as well as meeting with families of those hostages that were killed, potentially meeting with some hostages as well that are still living, meeting with governmental agencies and governmental employees, authorities, representatives, whatever. We're going to be getting a ton of resources to bring back to our communities to help educate our communities about what happened, and also ways that we can support not only Israel, but also the reform and progressive communities in Israel. So while it is a trip for me, but it's a trip for me to bring back stuff to the community. If you're interested in supporting this trip, please speak to Janet or me, preferably not on Shabbat, and anything that you donate will be greatly appreciated. And the last announcement I want to make is regarding our Shabbat service in December. We normally meet the second Saturday of every month. In the month of December, Bacha and I will be driving down to Miami to go on a Hanukkah cruise. I will be working, so we will not be having a Shabbat service that morning. We would move it to December the 6th, I think, is the first Saturday in December. But instead of doing a regular Saturday morning service, we are going to do a text/Torah study on Hanukkah entitled The Myth, the Story, the Miracle. So please come to that ready to learn about the things that you didn't learn when you were a child in school. We will mention the miracle briefly, but we're really going to get into the down and dirty about what Hanukkah really represents and why it's such an insignificant holiday for Jews outside of outside of gifts, which really isn't important. But anyway, you know, I used to blame Christmas, but really it's not Christmas. You know why Hanukkah became so commercialized? Because of the Jewish guy that owned Macy's. Because he had this brilliant idea in the early 20th century to create a Christmas sale to sell Christmas gifts. So Macy's had these huge sales to sell Christmas gifts that started even before Thanksgiving. And then the Jewish kids went home to their moms and dads and said, hey, why can't we get presents? We're tired of getting pennies and chocolates. And so now there are 2 Christmases and 2 Hanukkahs. There's the commercial Christmas and the commercial Hanukkah. And then there's the religious Christmas for Christians, which is obviously an incredibly important and symbolic holiday. The religious holiday for Hanukkah really is not religious. And we'll learn about that next month. So please come that Saturday morning. It'll be fun and interesting. Please. Sure. You don't have to stop there because you went to Hobby Lobby. That's all I need to know. But go ahead, Rita. They never have been. They are well known for being one of the most anti-Semitic stores out there. Yeah. All right. So clearly you listened to my sermon, and I appreciate it, but we're going to move on because I'm running out of time. I'm going to turn into a pumpkin. Whoa, look at this challah. It's a mezuzah. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. And before I put on our closing song, I want to thank the musical crew for helping today. And our closing song, you've seen it, you've heard it before, but it's such a good one, I decided to pick it again. Turn me up. Turn the computer up. That's good.
To find you, but I didn't see an entrance. I came from a distance where everything was different. I called out to you and you showed me that you listen. From then we became best friends. I gave my all to you and you showed me who I am. I am staying by your side to bask in your light and your mercy I reside. I won't let go, even in a million years. You're there when I'm up, you're there when I'm down, so I'm staying here. That I can lift you when everything is yours. Every time I walk straight, there's another door to help me achieve everything I need and more, nothing more, nothing less than going to and fro, trying to hear that voice from heaven. Your direction, I climb, but I fall flat like bread with no leaven. Please come pick me up and never ever put me down. there when I'm down, so I'm staying here. I won't let go, even in a million years. You're there when I'm up, you're there when I'm down, so I'm staying here. I won't let go, even in a million years. You're there when I'm up, you're there when I'm down, so I'm staying here. I won't let go, even in a million years. You're there when I'm up, you're there when I'm down, so I'm staying here.
Shabbat Shalom. See you in the social hall.